Yo, yo, this KP from the colleagues, and I just jumped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastards.
Lil Pip, skinny and flipper one time for my dogs. I just been grinding, that's all focus, refining my flow.
All right, so we got a day one family member jumping off the porch with us today. KP of the colleagues, man. Welcome, bro.
Man, it's been a long time, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. How you feeling today, too, bro?
I'm good, man. Before we get started, I just want to make sure I give the flowers and everything to y'all. I'm gonna say you because we go back, but my career literally got started with y'all, like posting my stuff. I remember I did a record for Pastor Troy, and I remember seeing you post it, and then I hit you up like, yo, I produced this record, not even knowing that you were living in Tampa. And just the love that you just shown me ever since then. And every time I sent you something, it was times where you be like, hey, I ain't posting that, you know, but there was times where you would just always make sure you show love. So being here was a big deal.
No, I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, so for people that don't know, we talk like 15, 20 years deep with this relationship too, man. Yeah. And for me, it was like, I always wanted to show love to the producers, to the videographers, no matter what it was. So anytime I knew who the producer was or videographer, I made sure I tagged them on Twitter and everything too.
And that goes a long way.
Yep.
It goes a long way.
For sure, man. So, like you said, Tampa, Florida, bro.
Yeah.
Talk about your upbringing there, bro.
Man, so I was raised in Tampa. I did a little bit of time, I lived in Detroit for maybe about 3 years.
Okay.
But my family is from Orlando, so Tampa, Orlando is kind of like my home. I claim both of them, but Tampa is really like, you know, the staple for me.
Yeah. And what's it like watching the Tampa music scene take off these past 15, 20 years? Because I know back then, wasn't a lot going on back then.
Yeah,
a lot of artists trying to make it, but now it's like a lot of artists getting signed and everything.
Yeah. And for me, growing up, and I don't know how they're gonna take this, but for me, I never got into the juke music, so I just never cared for it. So I didn't care for a lot of the Tampa artists. Now I knew there were some talented ones there, Tom G and all of them, and I even liked Tampa Tony, but I just couldn't get into a lot of the music. But now seeing that they creating their own sound and everything, like it's still, you know, it's good to see.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And how'd you get into making beats at first, man?
I'm trying to figure out which story I want to tell. Man, went through a heartbreak. I'll just keep it real. I went through a heartbreak, and one of my boys was like, man, come on over to the crib, man, and just get your mind off of it. I was like, all right. Went over there, started making some beats. Well, he was like, man, look at this program, just play around with it. I'm gonna go in the other room. And I just started messing around with it. It was my freshman year in college. And it was FL Studio. Back then they called it Fruity Loops. And I was like, you know what? I like this. And I just kept playing around with it. Next thing you know, it was midnight. He like, hey, bro. My people said you gotta go. Went home. He said you can download on your computer. Went to the crib, downloaded every single day. Was rushing home from school just to mess around with it. And then maybe a weekend, I was like, this is what I want to do. And I just left college and just said, this is what I want to do. Never made $1 or nothing, but I knew this was for me.
What was it about making beats that made you fall in love with it right away like that?
I've always wanted to do music. I used to want to be a rapper when I was little. So I always had some music in me, but something about the beats though, I don't know what it was. It was just, and my boy B Money from Tampa, he started just giving me little tips and everything, and I would just go to him maybe every week or so, just blow up his phone, drive across town to Tampa, and be like, hey, listen to these 5 beats I made. He'd be like, yeah, these suck. And then I'll come back again a week later. Yeah, and then just when he was like, it's all right. Yeah, and that just drove me. So it was something about it that just gave me a feeling I never got before.
And what were your early beats sounded like?
Ooh, trash. I remember one time, so we skipping ahead like a year or so, but Trillville and Lil Scrappy, they had that joint album that came out, and John is on Fire. And I would go back to the CDs and look up numbers and try to call people, and I had called this dude named Bingo. And Bingo had did some production on the Lil Jon and Scrappy album. I'm sorry, Scrappy and Trillville album. And I was like, can I send you some beats and everything? He was like, yeah, send me some beats. And I sent him some beats. And then he hit me back and said, what you use for beats? And I'm lying, I don't want to say FL Studio, because at that time it had a bad rep. So I was like, Pro Tools, Triton, and he was like, nah, you ain't using that. And then he was like, yeah, you need to keep working, buddy. And I remember it hurt at the time, but it was just one of those, I knew my stuff wasn't up to par, but you know, when you in it at that time, you think your stuff is gonna be popping and everybody's gonna love it.
Did you send him a bunch of crunk beats, or what type of vibe was it all, man?
Yeah, it was stuff that had a whole bunch of just, hey. It was horrible. It wasn't nothing musical about it, just the bass is in the wrong key, but I thought it was fire though, you know. Yeah. So I didn't have nobody around me that was in the music industry, nobody to give me advice, nobody to really be like, do this or do that. So I'm just trying whatever and just doing whatever feels right, and that's kind of how I've been doing my whole career.
Yeah. So who was one of the first rappers to like jump on one of your beats, man, whether it was locally or elsewhere, man?
Man, so I'm not gonna say his name because he's cool with y'all. So, but he's from Tampa, and we ran into each other at a barbershop, and he said, "Yeah, I heard you doing beats," which was a big deal for me because everybody knew me from basketball. So I was like, "All right." So I gave him some beats, and then he hit me up and was like, "Yo, I just did something to your beat, and I'm gonna put a little Scrappy on it." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I met up with him at his crib. He played the beats for me. He played the song for me, and I heard it, and I just was so amazed that someone was actually rapping on my beat. And his people in Tampa had a TV show at the time on like local television, and he was on there on the first night it debuted. He was on there, and Akon was on the show, and Akon was like, said his name, like, what you got coming out? And then he says, "Yeah, I got my new single, What It Is," and here it go, like my moment to be like produced by KP. He was like, produced by Lil Jon, because I was trying to like mirror Lil Jon's sound. He's like, produced by Lil Jon. And I just remember being like, it was the most hurtful thing. At the time, it was the most hurtful thing, and it was my first like, what the hell moment, in the music industry, which I got tons of those, but yeah, so that was the first time. But first time someone like did something and like really like showed me love was when I went to Orlando. And that's why I didn't really mess with the Tampa scene too hard. I was more so in the Orlando scene. So I was working with a group called Fed Up, and they're the ones that introduced me to Dee Boi.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much how we got going. Yeah.
Did you ever confront the artist, like, bro?
Oh yeah.
Why are you on TV?
I was hitting them up, threatening them, stuff that I wouldn't do now. But and we've patched it up since then. We actually ran into each other at a different barbershop like several years later, and we patched it up, so that's why I was like, if I didn't really care too much, I would just say his name, but we cool, not cool, but we don't have no problems though.
Gotcha. And did the song drop? Like, did it go out on all platforms and everything?
He printed, so at the time, so that we talking 2004 or 5.
Okay, yeah, we're talking
so
mixtape
it wasn't no
era,
platforms back then, so, but he pressed up a bunch of CDs. His cousin was a DJ, so, which I'm cool with his cousin, you are too, but he pressed up a whole bunch of CDs and put it on there, produced by Lil Jon. Like, that was, it could have been a moment where we built something real dope, because if I would have known, like, that was gonna happen, I would have never did it, but it ended up being good for me, because your skin gotta be real thick in this music industry.
Absolutely.
So it was just the beginning for me, little did I know.
Yeah, you're real welcome to the music industry.
Yeah, welcome to the music industry. This is what happens. Yeah.
So let's go to the Pastor Troy record. How did that placement come about, man?
So my boy Shawade hit me up and said, "Yo, Pastor Troy's gonna be at Cleo's. It's a strip club in Orlando. Come meet up with me, give me some beats, I'm gonna get it to him." I'm like, "All right, bet." Met up with him. I had a job at the time, so I had to be to work at 4 a.m. I met up with him in Orlando, so the distance between Tampa and Orlando. I drove out there at midnight, got on the beat CD, drove right back just so I can get to work. And Troy hit me up maybe like a week and a half later. "Yo, this KP." I'm like, "Well, who this?" "This Troy, this PT." I'm like, whoa. So now this is my first, like, pretty much a big artist, so for me at the time. So I'm like, "What's up?" He said, I'm getting on this flight. I'm gonna hit you up when I land so I can holler at you about this track that I'm gonna put on my album. I said, "Bet." Never heard back from him again, ever. Like, never called me. I kept calling him because now I got his number. I'm calling him, he ain't picking up. And then, lo and behold, I kept typing in Google or Yahoo, whatever I was using back then. I kept typing in Pastor Troy, new album, and that's how I got a wind of Dirty Glove. And I get on there and y'all had posted up a snippet or a link to Best Buy, or it was a link to somewhere, and they had, or Amazon, and it had the snippet of each song. And that's how I heard it for the first time. So I was like, oh man, and I had a partner at the time. And I was nervous because I'm just like, man, I haven't even told him about it because he was very money driven. I'm like, how is this gonna work? Like, he gonna think I stole from him. And it was 2 records that he did on that album. And so when the album drops, I was still happy about it. I wasn't mad, I was happy because it's Pastor Troy. I go to Best Buy, I get the CD, I'm listening to it, and I'm on a high right now because this is my first major artist in a sense on one of my beats. But then it came down crashing because my partner at the time hit me up, and he's mad about it, and he thinks that I stole from him. And it didn't help that Troy was shouting me out on the tracks. So it's like, dang, I didn't even. And it ended up being a great thing for me that we split the way we did. It wasn't great at the time, but that was the reason why, one of the reasons why we split. But and I never talked to Troy again. Like to this day, he actually just started following me on IG, and I'm like, we never talked ever since then. So, but that was my first, somewhat big placement.
Did you guys do any split sheets or like?
There was nothing done.
So you never got paid for the placement or nothing?
That's how it's been with me for a lot of rappers. Like. Shoot. They did, especially in that mixtape blog era, like.
But this was something actually in stores, though,
Yeah, this was in stores. So yeah, that's the crazy thing. But then when we hit up the distributor, trying to figure out how we can get paid, it was like, we're not working with Troy no more. And I'm sorry, Troy, but I'm just telling the story. But they're like, we're not working with him. He does this too many times, and we're tired of it. And we was like, well, what should we do? And I didn't know any better about no lawyer. Like my ex-partner had his lawyer hit me up as if I'm the one that stole.
Yeah.
So I'm going through trying to get my money for us, but then at the same time trying to deal with my ex-partner. So it was just a mess.
Shoot.
I wouldn't know how to handle that right now.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Way better, but at the time, you just don't know, what to do.
Yeah. And how did the colleagues actually form, man? Because for the longest, I've only known you, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And when you knew me, I had partners. But
okay.
So
you was the one that was really outside.
Yeah. So it started with my first partner, the one I was just talking about. We was just working together all the time, and we knew each other. And I was like, man, you know what? We making some good stuff together. Why don't we just form a group and just do something? And I love the affiliates. Like I love names like the affiliates, Justice League, the business. I love professional names like that can go in any genre. Because I knew, even though it's in rap right now, I want to do way more than rap. Mm-hmm. So I came up with the colleagues. I came up with the tag. He did the tag, but I came up with it like say it like this. And it was me and him for maybe a few months. And then when that whole thing happened, we split, and I just kept the name. And then I ended up bringing over 2 more partners around 2010 or so. So we split in 2009. I brought over 2 more partners in 10 and 13, and we stayed together all the way to 15 and 20.
Okay.
So, and now it's just me. And I put so much behind the brand. It's like I'm not about to switch it up now. And one day I may bring somebody else over, but I'm not in a rush to do that though.
No, it's like you built the brand. You got to stick with it.
Yeah, I got to stick with it now at this point. Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever think about changing the tag after the first partner you guys had split, or?
Nah, cause I ended up making more tags, so I still use it here and there, but I don't use it all the time anyways. But yeah. I kept it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you and Starlito link up? Because it seems like this is a real friendship, real relationship, working relationship you guys got, man.
You're the first person to ever ask this, and this is the first time I ever told a story. And I have never even talked to Lito about this. So, going back to Dee Boi, me and Dee Boi, we started working together. We had created what you call, I was basically, had a label. I had signed Dee Boi. We called the label Grind Hard Records. So we talking 2006 or so. We was at the SCA Awards out in Tunica, Mississippi. And Lito had Grey Goose out at the time. And so Lito's getting off the stage, everybody's passing out their CDs. I had no clue, outside of the Grey Goose song, I knew nothing else about Lito. So we linked up with each other, we gave each other CDs, and he looks at my CD and I look at his, right on the spot. He sees the Grind Hard Records, then I look on his and it's got big, bold Grind Hard on there. And we look up at each other, and he was like, nah, this is just, we just doing this t-shirts and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is a label. Like, he was like, all right, we cool then. But then when I was listening to the CD, first of all, that CD was so hard. It was like a compilation CD. I don't remember what it's called, but it was so hard. And I remember they was just shouting out Grind Hard the whole time. So now I got mixed feelings. Like, you said it was a t-shirt, but now it's looking like this is like your label or a team or something like that. And when I started listening to his music more, because I became a fan, they was repping it real hard, like Grind Hard. And then we were doing the same thing. So now it's like, but he got a way bigger fan base now. So it's like, how we gonna do this? And we kept still doing the Grind Hard. And then when Dee Boi got locked up, and it would look like he was gonna be gone for a few years, I had to pivot because I'm like, I got to do something else. And Dee Boi was one that was like, get back into music and do production. And that's what I started doing. And then so what I just reached out to the artists that I not knew, but knew I had their emails. And I just sent Lito some beats. And then he put me on this project. And I remember it had a chalkboard that said, I will not go ham, like a million times on it. And we did a song. And at that time, now I'm not claiming Grind Hard no more. Now it's the colleagues. And he was one of the first in the mixtape era to get on my stuff. So after that, I never even brought up the Grind Hard stuff no more because it wasn't even a thing for me no more. And that's why we never even talked about it. Now we work together all the time. I'll text him. But we never had that conversation.
You think he remembers that even?
I don't know. It was one of those, I don't know what kind of moment it was for him, but for us, it was a big deal because it was like someone else is claiming our stuff. You know, but this is before social media, so where you can see what's going on in Nashville and all that stuff. We didn't know. This is MySpace at the time, and you still only know so much. So it's one of those, I was like, one day we're gonna talk about it, but it's not a big deal for me. That's why I'm like, Grind Hard, and I'll rock his t-shirts and everything now, because Grind Hard was just a little couple of years for me, you know what I mean? Just a little phase for me.
What was that first song that he had put out on that tape? Do you remember?
I Can Get It Off.
Okay, yeah.
I still love that song, so I Can Get It Off. Yeah.
And how did Game Over with him and Trip come about?
Same, after I Can Get It Off, I would just always just randomly send them beats. And then same thing with the Game Over, like I was telling you before the interview, I didn't know that Trip was gonna be on there. And I love Trip because Trip had just had that song where he Letter to My Son, I think it's called. And so I became a fan of his from that. So when I heard Game Over, I just thought it was gonna be Lito. And then next thing you know, Trip starts rapping. I'm like, oh wow. So yeah, we worked together a lot of times since then. So he's one of my favorites to work with too. You know, but yeah, he just hooked me and Trip up together after that freestyle that they did on that platform. I forget what it's called.
On the Radar?
Radar, yeah. Radar.
Oh, that's hard right there. And it's normally you just send over beats, or does he hit you for a certain type
Sometimes
of vibe?
he'll hit me up and be like, hey, I'm working on such and such. You know, send me whatever you got, and then I'll send. Like the Step Brothers, I really wanted to be on that project, so I was flooding his email, and I would text him, man, I'm so sorry for sending you so many beats. He was like, that's what I pay X amount of dollars for the Google space for it. He's like, so we good. And I would just send him beats. And then the last beat I sent him, I was like, all right, I don't know what else to send him. And that ended up being the one that made it on the last Step Brother. So just being consistent.
And you had a bunch of placements on the Imposter Syndrome, right? There was like 2 or 3 on there?
Yeah, because we had been talking, but Lito went a few years without rapping. So I would hit him up to try to get on some of my projects, and he would just be like, I'm not really there right now. And that's cool, I respected it, but then when he got back into that mode, he was like, hey, I'm back writing again. I don't know what it's gonna be, but just send me some stuff. And then I just started flooding him, and then he'll be like, I like this beat, I like this beat, and I was like, is this gonna be a whole project? And I think we ended up doing 3 or 4 or something like that. I think it was 3, and then he put out one as like a loose single on Father's Day as dedication to his daughter. So yeah, so we just got back working. We've been working since.
Yeah. Let's go back to Dee Boi. What did you see in Dee Boi at first that made you really want to lock in with him?
T.I. As soon as I heard, so the first time he rapped on my beat, my boy Head had said, hey man, I got some young dude, his homeboy had just passed away. And his homeboy AK had just passed away, got killed. So he was just getting them in the studio to be like, man, you know, get your mind off things. You got some talent. Here go one of my boy KP's beats. Like, here you go. And then, but when I heard him, I was like, this dude sound like T.I. And T.I. was, you know, the trap music was out at that time. So I'm like, this dude is fire. So then I sent another beat over to him. Like, I sent a beat, like, here, play this for him, because I didn't have connection with him. And then we did a song called Grind Hard. Hence, that's how the label came about. And we was like, I want you to be my first artist. I had no idea how to sign, manage, none of that. I was the manager, the CEO. I was doing the producing, like everything. But he trusted me. He was like 16, 17 years old.
Wow, he was that young at the time?
Yeah, he was like 16. So I used to pick him up, you know, from school, or sometimes he would skip school and just come with me to the studio. And I'm 18, 19 at the time, like 19, and so we just got it in. So yeah, he was still to this day, I tell him all the time, like, he's still one of my favorite rappers. I try to push him to put out more music, and I'm like, bro, you still one of the most dopest artists in Florida, still, in my opinion.
We got to talk about the 10 Toes Down project too, man. Talk about putting this one together, man.
So,
and bringing DGB along with it too.
Yeah, so I'm big on loyalty, first of all. So that's how y'all came about. And it was like, I want to rock with people that's been rocking with me. And it was just something I threw out there. But to get to how the project came about, we had stopped working for a few years. You know, we like brothers, so it's like we gonna have our arguments, we gonna have the moments where we just not rocking with each other, and we ended up, I don't remember how we got back in contact with each other, but we got back in contact, and I was just like, bro, if you just do things like this, I think you will see more traction, but you're not being consistent enough, and I just think, let's do this one more time and do it the right way, and he's like, all right, cool, and we just started working and just knocking out tracks and just go to the studio, and then I was like, let's get some videos done for this, and then at the end I was like, let's get somebody to stamp this, and that's how, you know, DGB came about. I was like, let's get someone to like really stamp it that got respect, you know. It couldn't just be anybody, you know, because it had to be like, it had to match up together. So that's why I was like, let's put y'all logos on there and everything. So that's how it came about. And then P.I. Bang came around. He was managing, or he had signed Whoop at the time, so I'm like, can you bring on Dee Boi? And, you know, we worked out the business and everything, but I knew we needed someone to get this thing moving a little bit faster, like pay for the videos and like really, really get it out there. And that's what Bang did, and it worked because he came in and he didn't ask no questions. You know, what you need, 1,500, 2,000, here you go. I get it to you, boom, boom, boom. And that's what helped everything go. And then once it dropped, we was getting calls all around Florida just for shows and everything, and I was in it. And then once that happened, my career started kind of going in a different direction musically, and I started doing K-pop. And then that's when I had to tell him, like, hey bro, I love what we doing here, but I gotta put myself first. And I learned from when he got locked up the first time that I'll never invest in someone else more than I'm investing in myself. When he got locked up for like almost a year, I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I didn't like that feeling. So now that I'm putting the colleagues first, KP first, hey, I love you, bro, but I gotta go this way. And it helped because Bigger Rankin came in and said he wanted to co-manage. You know what, Bigger, you can take the whole thing, bro. You can just manage them. And it wasn't me just pushing him off, because I think he felt the way about that, and we cleared that up, and because we didn't talk for a few years after that. And I thought that I thought I was doing the right thing by at least giving you to someone that's known, that has more relationships than I do in this field. But he looked at it as I just pawned him off, and it wasn't the case. But we stopped talking for a few years. But that 10 Toes Down, that was like a special era, man.
That's like, a classic tape, man.
Man, we put a lot of work into that, and even though I only did 1 or 2 tracks on there, I was in the studio every day with those, like, take that verse off, I don't like that verse, put that verse back on, whatever. Like, he listened to me and stuff, but it's not like I'm over here calling all the shots. It was like a real team effort on it. So yeah, man, it was dope. It was a special time.
Yeah, man. So we got to talk about this transition to the K-pop, because that was so left field, man. How'd you end up falling into that lane, bro?
Honestly, man, it was my birthday. I was in Miami with my wife and my wife and my brother. And we celebrated my birthday, and I remember walking around South Beach, and I said, man, God, I need something to happen, so I need something to change my career. We're in the mixtape era, so I'm working with these rappers, and I got this nice resume on paper, but it wasn't bringing in no money. I needed something that just changed my life, like my career, should I say. And I get a call shortly after that, a couple months later. My boy Vaccine was like, hey, you interested in going to Korea to make some K-pop? I had never heard of K-pop. So I'm like, he's like, hey, the label gonna pay for it. They're gonna pay for your flight. They're gonna pay for your hotel. Only thing you gotta reimburse them with is the flight. And they'll take that out of anything that you sell. Like any beats that you sell or land over there, they'll take it out of that. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. I don't have nothing to lose. No, let me take it back. I told him I'd get back to him. I was scared. So I was petrified. I was like, at that time I had never created in front of anybody. So I called up my 2 partners, just knowing they were gonna say no. and that I could be like, yeah, nah, we can't get off of work. I hit up our Chris was like, oh yeah, I'm down. I said, you think you can get off of work? He was like, I'm gonna have to get off of work, so they gonna have to I'm going. I'm like, okay, let me call up Harrison. Harrison was like, yeah, I'm down. You can get off of work too? Bro, I'm putting in my time. I don't care, bro. I ain't missing this. And I felt like that was just all God, because I was like, all right, I got my partners with me, let's go. And we went, and it was a game changer. I went out there and realized how big of because this is before K-pop took off in America. So a lot of people hadn't heard of K-pop over here. Going over there, and I start seeing them performing in 50,000 seats arenas, 40,000 seat arenas, and I'm like, oh, this is a big deal. And the way they treated us like we were stars over there, and I was like, okay. And I still didn't really understand until we got that big record, until the royalties started coming in, and I was like, oh. And they started, they were buying tracks $6,500 a piece, and they would buy 3-4 of them at a time. There was times where they would buy like 7 or 8, not just for like us, but we would get 3, another producer would get 2, and then the other producer would sell 1, and they was buying it all together, and it would send like a big old lump sum check, and we would bust it down. And when I started seeing that, because at that time I'm only making $500 for a beat, so all of a sudden now I'm getting paid $6,500, and I'm busting it down with my partners. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we doing right now. So for the next couple of years, it was all about K-pop.
Yep. Yeah. Did you look at it as like a challenge when you sat down to actually make these beats and everything too?
Well, because K-pop is a fusion of pop, R&B, rap, and it's just a fusion, and they're behind us. Once I figured it out, it took me about a few months to kind of like really figure it out. But once I figured it out, like, oh, they really chasing our sound that we're doing here in America, but they're a couple years behind. So the things that we like, oh, that sound like a 2024 beat, whatever.
That's what they want.
Yeah, they want that. So at that time, so it was like, okay, they're a little bit behind. So it helped us get out some of our old stuff old tricks that we was doing before. But so we get out to Korea, and I have these label heads sitting behind me, and I don't like that kick, I don't like that snare. I'm like, yo, let me get this idea out, and I'm not used to that, and they're over my head. Like, so it was just like one of those, it challenged me, but it literally changed the way I work. I got the best compliments that I get is that you listen very well, you take direction really well, and that all happened because of K-pop. We would send over stuff, and they would come back with changes. Make this change, make this change, make this change, make this change, and then you'll send it back, and they'll be like, make this change, make this change. So I had to start understanding how they work and be like, I want to nail this on the first try. I don't want you to come back with any edits. And then that kind of just translated to the rest of any other genre that I was working in. Like, I need to be able to get it right on the first try, second try maybe, but I don't want to just keep going back with edits. So K-pop changed how I work, like, period.
And we got some plaques out of that, right?
Yeah, got the Red Velvet. It's a group called Red Velvet, and a song called Rookie. And that wasn't even supposed to be for them. Raheem DeVaughn hit me up. He was on tour, and he said, hey, I'm working with Fantasia. Can you send me something for her? He's like, I need something that's fire. And I was like, bro, trust me, I got you. I was looking for that big record. At that time, I'm still looking for something to just change my life. Even though I was already in the mix of K-pop, I'm looking for that something. And I went in and just spent money, because I hired all these musicians, and I just had a vision of like, this is gonna be big for her. And then when I sent it to him, like he always does, still to this day, he just don't listen right away. He may listen a year from now, 5 months from now, and he just never heard. I'm like, dude, I just spent over $1,000, doing all this stuff, and you didn't even listen. And then so they gave me a call from Korea, and they was like, hey, you got anything for Red Velvet? And I'm like, this beat may work. And I sent it over there, and they're like, yo, they're going crazy in here. I'm gonna hit you back. And then hit me back, and then they sent me the original demo, and I'm like, okay. And they said, this is gonna be a single. I'm like, I've never had a single before. And then it ended up being a single and changed. So I thank God that Raheem kind of slept on it, because I don't think that Fantasia would have did what they did with it. And it doesn't sound the same, but it was still the foundation of it is still the same.
Yeah. And just shout out to you for even being open, to going over there and trying something different too, man.
When you desperate and you want something to change. You can't be stuck in your ways and just think that I'm gonna just keep doing it this way because it has to happen this way. I was like, if I need to be in K-pop for a while, I'm gonna do K-pop. If I need to do country, I'm gonna do country, but something's gotta work.
Yep. And talk about that relationship with you and Raheem, man. Because I know you guys been locked in for a long time too.
He literally changed my life. Like, that's my brother for real. My boy, R. Chris, who was my partner at the time, sent Raheem some beats, and he called me one day and just said, hey, he was going crazy on the phone. He was like, yo, Raheem DeVaughn just hit me up. He liked one of our beats and he said he's gonna record to it. And I said, who? He says, Raheem DeVaughn. I said, who? I was like, I don't know who that is. And then I told my brother, and my brother was like, man, that's the dude I've been telling you for the past 2 years you need to work with. I said, oh, that's him? I said, okay. I go to the barbershop. This is no lie. I go to the barbershop sometime that week, and I'm in the chair, and I hear this song, and I asked the barber if that was Marvin Gaye, if they did like a remix, and he says, nah, that's Raheem DeVaughn. I said, it was Bulletproof, it was a song called Bulletproof, and I said, that's Raheem DeVaughn. I thought that was Marvin Gaye. And then he was just like, nah, that's him. And I was like, okay. So Raheem had my number. I'm at work. He calls me in the middle of the night from an LA number. And I'm like, hello? He's like, what's up, man? It's Raheem DeVaughn. And he just, from the day one, he came to me with the respect. He says, hey, I got this beat. He said, I think it may be my single, it may not, but I really love it. And I want to see if you got any more beats. I don't have a high budget. So he's like, and because at the time I had just dropped the record, not just dropped. At the time, the record that we did for Nipsey had just dropped. So my profile picture was the Nipsey Hussle Crenshaw thing. So he said, I see you just did something with Nipsey Hussle. So I don't have the money that he probably paying you. I can probably afford to pay you $2,500 per. I got 4 that I want from you. At that time, this is before K-pop. This is 4 years before K-pop. I'm making $300, $400 per beat, and I'm splitting that with my partner. So $2,500 per beat, and you want 4? And I was like, yeah, I think we can make that work. And he was like, all right, cool. And he says, I promise you, I don't have that much money, but I make sure I take care of you and just look out for you whenever I can. And he stood up to that. Like, that was 2012, 13, and here we are in 2026. So sure. Ever since then, the most money I made from any artist, no matter who it is him, because it's not about just the stuff I do with him. He's put me in with other artists. And then when that artist buys something, I say, hey, here you go. You want something? He's like, no. I ain't do that for no money. Just build a relationship with them. Like, most stand-up brother I've ever met, like, in this industry. Like, and I'm sorry if anybody get offended, but like, yeah, that's my brother right there.
What's it like working in the studio with him?
He doesn't write, so and he does his own writing. So I can just pull up to the studio if I'm in DC or something like that, and then I'll play something for him, and he'll go in there and just he'll go in the booth, and then he won't come out until the song is done. Like, he may come out for a minute to take a call, but he's in that booth and he's all off the top of the head, and he'll just keep replaying different words. I don't like how that. Nah, I'm gonna use a different word, and he'll just keep going. So. And I know I need to have my energy up when he go in the studio, because he'll be in there till 8, 9 in the morning.
Goodness.
And he'll start at 7, 8 at night, and I'm like, oh, all right. So just mark out my day when I go with him, because he'll be in there. He will not come out, but he's a workaholic though.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Nipsey placement. How did that one come about, man?
Once again, this is gonna be you're gonna see it's a common theme for me with rappers, but. Sarah J, shout out to Sarah J. She hit me up and said, hey, you got anything for Nipsey? I sent her some packs, and she ended up hitting us back saying Nipsey wanted this for his album. At the time, Crenshaw was supposed to be an album, and it was gonna originally be called Victory Lap, which obviously we know didn't happen until later, but it was originally gonna be called Victory Lap. So I wasn't too excited. I was kind of like, Nips ain't really Nip. He wasn't really popping at that time, because he had to in and out of jail and stuff. So it wasn't like we were excited, but it was just like, this was cool because we had nothing else going on. So it was like, and so they said they was gonna hit us back, with the business, handle the business and everything. Never heard anything back again. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And I'm kind of used to it at this point. And then next thing you know, he starts promoting it, and then he starts saying it's gonna be $100. And we were like, what? Man, this dude tripping. And then next thing you know, Jay-Z comes out and buys 100 copies, and then Eminem buys 10 copies, and then Wendy Williams is talking about them buying it, and she talking about it on her show. I'm like, oh, this is a big deal. And then next thing you know, everybody's talking about it, and he releases it at his store, and he sells out of 1,000. And he said it's only gonna be 1,000 copies at the time, and he sells out of the 1,000 copies in less than a couple hours. And it was a bittersweet moment, because on one hand it was like, wow, this ended up being something big. I did my first interview off of that, and it was a big deal because everybody was hitting us up. Oh, you work with Nipsey? Oh, you work with Nipsey? Yeah, da 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 da. But then when everybody's associating this $100 per album with, oh, we must have got paid. No, we didn't get paid anything. So I hit up Nip like, yo, can we get like 1,000 for that, like something? And he said, absolutely not. And I'm like, okay, cool. All right, well, let me know if you need more beats. I'll get them to you, So it was one of those, it felt, and then what made me mad at the time, he went on Breakfast Club and he did an interview, and Charlamagne said, Nip, man, you sold out 1,000 copies in less than 24 hours, man. And Nip said, lunch money, man. I was broke at the time. Like, yo, I'm broke, man. This nigga over here talking about some lunch money. I was like, yo, I'm so mad. And yeah, and then obviously a couple years later, his team reached out and said, we're gonna take care of the producers and we're gonna shoot everybody $1,500 a piece.
Oh, shit.
It was like, cool. If we just get something, like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm still working at the time, so anything works. So we never got that money. And then you fast forward, he dies a few years later. So that was 2015. He dies in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. 2019? Yeah, he dies in 2019, something like that. And then next thing you know, it's just like, oh, now everybody cares now. Now everybody's hitting me up saying like, oh, you work with Nip? Oh. And then his stuff soars on the charts. All the albums hit the chart. I get a plaque for it. I wasn't even gonna get one because I felt guilty like for celebrating this moment of going to the Billboards. But my boy Vince Carter was like, nah. I was in the car with him. He was like, nah, you need to get that. You need to celebrate that. And I was like, well, you're right. And I got it. And now when like contractors or anybody come over, like that's the first one they go to every single time. And it was one of those situations that was still, again, like bittersweet because everything went up, but we still never even saw nothing from it. And then his team reached out. This all literally just happened. His team reaches out, wants us to square away the business and say, yo, we never got the paperwork. We need you to sign this. And when you sign this, basically you need to sign this waiver that says you can't claim any royalties from anything from before today. Nigga, you stupid. Like, are you serious? And it ended up being a mess, like a real mess for like, that happened in 2022, and we just cleared it up as like a month or two ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we had, and I got other producers that's getting their stuff squared away. Hey, anybody who didn't get paid on that Nipsey project, go ahead and hit up my attorney. Boom, boom, boom. We all got in the email, and it wasn't trying to get more than what we were supposed to get. It was just like we do something because, come on now. And I got taken care of first. My team got taken care of first, and then. Now other producers getting taken care of, but it was one of those, we couldn't even really get happy because it's like, yeah, it greased y'all pockets, y'all got paid, and now the family's getting paid, but we still didn't get nothing. It wasn't like before everybody started saying, oh, well, that's why you should have done your paperwork. In the mixtape era, they were just uploading stuff. Exactly. Like, it got done in the mixtape era, and then when the streaming era kind of came around, they just uploaded that stuff. So it was like, we have no control and no say, but us not having that paperwork was what helped us in the situation because we didn't have no paperwork. So, yeah.
Over 10 years later, at least it got resolved.
Nah, yeah, it was 2013 it came out, so 13 years later we finally got paid. So, and some of them were like 2012, 2011, so yeah.
I like how you casually dropped my boy Vince Carter, like this is another man. How did you and Vince Carter link up, man?
VC, so my engineer was one of my boys, which is our mutual friend. It wasn't mutual friends at the time, but he was going to my engineer and just so happened to be in the studio with him. He was in the studio with my engineer and he says, you got any beats for them dudes, the colleagues? And he's like, yeah, I actually mix, their stuff. He's like, really? So he started playing some beats and so my boy called me and said, yo, I got Vince Carter in here going crazy to your beats. And my first thought was, I didn't know he rapped, but it didn't surprise me because I knew a few NBA players that rap. So I'm like, okay. And then Vince hit me up on Twitter It was like, send me some more stuff. And then he sent me, I sent him some beats. And then what happened? Then my boy, the one that was actually rapping, hit me for some beats. So when he hit me up and said, I want to get some, I want to buy this beat, and we linked up, and he said, can you go in the studio with me? I said, yeah, I'll go to the studio with you. And then go to the studio, and I bring my brother and my partner at the time, and he says, they can't come, but you can. I'm like, nigga, it's a studio, bro. I can bring my partners. He's like, we got somebody's house. Whose house? He's like, Vince Carter's house. And I didn't know the studio was at his house. And then once we got in there, I was like, hey, y'all gotta go. So I'll see y'all later. So we get in there, and it was as if, I don't know if it's because we all from Florida, but it was as if we just knew each other forever. And we just got so many things, like, that was the first like real brotherhood that I had, like outside of like school and everything. So it was like, yeah, we ended up getting real cool, and now that's my brother to this day.
That was too hard right there, man.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to you putting out albums. You just put out your 10th album, is that right?
Yeah, so my 10th album.
Shoot.
Yeah, so once again, how I even got started in putting out albums was like I was just at this point now. I quit my job after the platinum record, and probably prematurely, but I did it. My lady said she had my back if anything happened, so I'm like, let's just do it. We moved to Atlanta, and after disappointment after disappointment, I was like, I realized that my career couldn't be in the hands of getting placements and depending on placements, because that stuff can come, it can go, and I was like, I need to figure out a way. And 1 month literally changed the whole landscape for me. And I had a record with my boy Vito hit me up, who's on my new album. At the time, he had just started working with Chris Brown, started writing for Chris. He said, yo, send me some stuff for Chris. Sent him some stuff. Chris ended up, long story short, he cut a record, then came back, and he was like, yo, I think they're gonna get this record wherever. I was like, oh, this is crazy. So we got to talking about the business. This is what the splits will be, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, man, I'm just happy. Freddie Gibbs hit me up and said, yo, I got 2 of yours on this album. You know, I got you. So I'm like, bet. So he said, come out to LA, and I'm about to sign the RCA. This was for the Freddie album. So he's like, I'm about to sign with RCA after this album. So I want you to come out to LA, come to the crib, whatever. Bet, spent my last dollar getting out there, literally. I remember being on the plane, like fighting tears, like, this gotta work, because I don't know why I'm on this plane. I just hope something works. I get to his crib, he plays me the whole album, and I'm like, cool. He said, yeah, we might shoot a video for this. The song's called Give Me the Loot, and the other one's called Red Vans. And I'm like, bet. He said, yeah, man, the label love it, boom, boom, boom. Get back a week, maybe like a week later, the album's supposed to drop. He posted the album cover where he's looking like Freddie Jackson. He like laying, or it's Teddy Pendergrass. He's like laying like, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm promoting it. I'm on here. And then midnight it drops, and I'm looking at the track list, and I'm like, it's not on here. Looking, don't see it. I hit him up. I'm mad. I'm like, Freddie, what, you took the song off the album? He's like, oh yeah, we just gonna put it on the next one. I'm like, and I know Freddie, so I'm like, that ain't happening. So I'm like, what? I'm pissed. Then the next day I hit up Vito's manager, Ro. I'm like, Ro, what's up, man? I ain't heard nothing about the Chris Brown. And then he says, yeah. So he said, I submitted 5. We did 3. He said, I submitted 5. He took 2. The 3 that he didn't get. So that ended up being like a common theme for me. It was just like, nah. And so now I'm fighting depression, because I'm just like, how am I gonna survive? Like, I'm either getting my beat stolen and they're using it and they're getting all the money, or I'm getting close to getting on these albums and not making it. This can't be it. But Freddie comes back around and changes everything and says, nigga, just drop whatever you want, bro. What you mean just drop it, bro? Like, I ain't tripping. I says, for real? He's like, yeah. You ain't gotta ask me. I says, cause I was like, can I drop this and this? Bro, you don't have to ask me. Just do it. And that changed everything. And once I started doing that, I was like, why don't I just start building my brand? And cause I would just drop it, and then I still not thinking about building my brand. I'm just trying to get some music out there. My whole thing was just, I just want people to see what I can do. Cause by the time it makes it on these albums, this is a sound that was probably, I did like a year ago, that I'm like, man, this ain't what I'm doing right now though. So this was like, let me show people what I can do, or what we can do, and let me put this out there. And that's when it started. And then Raheem DeVaughn was like, you should build your brand and really just like go in with it, start dropping the albums and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna do that. And then that's how the whole thing started. And I just started reaching out to people that I did all those favors for and be like, I did a record for you, you know, can you just do this record for me? And they did it. Or they never put it out and be like, can I put this out? Yeah, I ain't tripping. Can I put this out? We did it in the mixtape era, but can I put it out? And I would put out old stuff, but then I started doing a whole bunch of new stuff. So it's been a blessing. But yeah, just dropped my 10th album.
Let me ask, what have you learned from that first album up until this 10th? Because I'm sure there's a lot of growing pains with this.
Oh, man. Learn to be patient. A lot of artists are going through touring, recording their own stuff. So I learned I can't come to them last minute with things. I've learned how valuable I am. And so I used to come to people like, can we possibly work on something? Now it's like I understand the value that I'm bringing to the table. So it's not just one-sided. I'm coming to the table with something as well. And I make a strong offer, whatever. I just learned how much of it, how ahead of the curve I am. And because when I started doing this, it wasn't outside of the majors like Metro and Mustard and them doing this. It wasn't anybody doing it really like that on the independent level, like and using big indie artists. So I wasn't getting the same looks, like they didn't really respect it. And now I'm like, oh, I was ahead of the curve. I'm still kind of ahead of the curve, but I'm so grateful that this is the route that I took. It's totally different what everybody else is doing, but I'm so glad that I'm doing it this way.
Yeah. And on this new album, did you get in the studio for most of these sessions?
A couple of them.
Okay.
Some of them like to record themselves and just be in their own little vibe, like Vito. But like Case, I was in there with him. Slim, I was in there with him. Jay Brown, I was in there with him. But the rest of them, they recorded themselves and just sent it over to me.
Okay. What was the session like with Jace?
With who?
With Case.
Oh, Case. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'm feeling like a kid, like a kid, like a teenager. Like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I'm in here. He's telling stories. I've always said to myself, Case has like a comedic side to him. When I would hear him do interviews or hear him in with different comedians, we have a mutual friend, Naeem Lynn, who's part of the Plastic Cup Boys with Kevin Hart, and I would hear him do an interview with them and vice versa, and I would hear his comedic timing, and I'm like, this dude is definitely funny. And then so when we got in the studio together, like I would tell him that, I told him that, and then he was just telling me stories after stories, talking about his aunt, just telling me stuff about old artists back in the day, and just, situations, and FaceTime is going off. It's so much stuff I can't say. I don't want to put them out, but it was just so much like funny stuff. I'm just like, yo, this dude is hilarious. So it was just one of those moments where it was like, I was just in the moment, like just enjoying it. Like this, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I mean? October wasn't there for that because October wrote the song and then he sent it over. Okay. And then we just that's how it happened. But yeah, that session with Case was real dope.
Now, when you're in a session with an artist, are you very hands-on, or you kind of just let them do their own thing, or does it depend on the artist?
Yeah, it depends on the artist. Sometimes I'm very hands-on, and sometimes I don't have to say anything. Like Raheem, I don't say anything. And if I do, he probably ignores me and just he does his own thing and just be like, yeah, I got this. But someone like Slim was very like, hey, KP, you think, you cool with this? Like, you want me to? And I appreciate that, but so it's just like, just depends on the artist. And some of them, you can kind of get it from the energy, like, I'm gonna back off on this one, but sometimes you feel like, all right, I need to step in and say something on this one. Yeah. So, and unless it like really bothers me where I'm just like, that's not what I'm hearing, or I don't think you should say it like that, then I'll say something. But for the most part, I just back up unless I need to say something. Because not every artist can vocal produce themselves like Raheem can or like October can. So normally you don't need to do anything if they can vocal produce themselves. But if they need a look, and I'm not even a vocal producer, but I know when I don't like it though, so I can say something though. So yeah. Everything's different.
Yeah, because I'm sure as a producer, you probably have a vision of where you want the record to go. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure a lot of times an artist will send you back something like, damn, I didn't think of it, but this is really dope the way that you did it.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll tell them, like this album I was very particular, like this is what I need on the album. I never done that before. Usually I'll just send it to them and then be like, I'll see what comes back in, and then I'll form the album title, the direction, all off of what was being sent back to me. But this time I knew it's gonna be called this. I want it to be about this. And then I would tell them, and then I'm like, hey, I need songs about love. I need songs about heartbreak, sex songs, this. But then when I got the heartbreak song, I was like, all right, I don't need a heartbreak song. I need this and this and this. So I was very like particular about what I needed. Yeah. And it worked out that way.
Mm-hmm. And I've been reading the feedback. People are loving this, man.
Man, the first day that it dropped, I'm riding with my lady in the car, and it was my first time listening to it in the car since it dropped, on streaming platforms. So I'm sitting there listening, because after I submit it, which I submit it usually like 2 to 3 months in advance, I don't listen to it anymore until it drops. And I'm listening to it like a fan. So I'm in the car listening to it, and I'm hearing Case, I'm hearing Slim, I'm hearing Kevin Ross and Raheem. And I literally like feel myself fighting back tears, like, cause now I'm not KP, I'm not the colleagues, I'm this kid that's a fan of every single person on this album. And I'm like, I can't believe that this happened. I can't believe I actually got these people on this album, because I'm still thinking as a fan now. And I'm just hearing this and I'm just fighting back tears, but I want my lady to know that I'm fighting tears. So I just got my hoodie on my head and I'm just riding, I'm just driving. And every time I feel something, I just dab the corner of my eye. And then she's still not looking. She's over there just and talking to me and stuff, and I'm just nodding my head. And then finally we get in the garage, and I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to this in the garage and then just get it all out. And then she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just gonna sit in the garage. Are you okay? It all just started coming down. It was just like tears of joy, you know what I mean? Like, so when I say like, I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate everybody showing love, the phone calls that I was getting. Raheem called me 6 o'clock in the morning, which is not, it's definitely normal for him. He hits me up and I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, yeah, I was at the gym a couple hours ago. I was like, 4 in the morning? He's like, yeah, I couldn't get to sleep. He says, man, when I tell you, bro, I played the album. He said, I actually played it like 2-3 times. He's like, this album is effing incredible. And when he said that, he's never said that about any of the other stuff. He'll hit me up and be like, hey, I saw you dropped a new album, man. Congrats on that, man. How's the feedback been going? That's what he'll say. But this one, he was like, effing incredible, bro. I'm like, whoa. And he was like, yeah, bro, like for real, like you outdid yourself on this one, man. Like, he's like, I had to call you and tell you. And that meant so much. And I got several calls like that from other people. The artists are all sharing, creating their own content. I didn't ask anybody to do any content. Like, can you do this for me? They all did it on their own, which was never been done before. So it's like, well, I've had 1 or 2 here and there, but for the most part, having people on the project just like really buy into what it was and really show love to it and show love on their platform. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And then these different platforms are posting it saying this could be R&B album of the year. I would never pay for something like that. I would never pay to say, can you say that this could be the R&B album? I want it to be authentic. So when they're coming out saying this, I'm like, all right. And then another one says it, and I'm like, oh man. Then my boy Emmanuel from Slow Jams for Life hits me up and says it. Sends me a long 4 or 5 minute voice note just telling me how great the album is. It was just one of those, like, that first few days was just more so like just taking in all the love and being like, this is amazing.
No, it's super dope album. I was checking it out the other day,
man. Thank you,
for sure. And there's this stigma that like R&B's been dead forever, but when you listen to an album like this, it's like, how could someone possibly say that, man? It's like they're not looking in the right places.
That's what my boy DJ Mr. King said. He hit me up and said, man, all these DJs out here saying that real R&B isn't being made no more. He's like, I'm literally gonna point them in the direction of this. He's like, I'm gonna make a post about this and then just point them in the direction. Like, this is like, y'all are listening to the wrong stuff. And that was like very like intentional for me. It was like, I want people on this project that can sing. I want people I want to be singing about something. I have women in my DM saying that, Not Like That made them feel away because it's a breakup song. He's trying to get back with his girl and it made them feel away. Or they felt like they missed somebody on this song, and it's just like, that's what R&B is supposed to. I was in elementary school getting choked up on songs, and I ain't even had a girlfriend before, but I'm over here getting choked up listening to Danny Boy, It's Over Now, and all these other songs, and I'm like, what? I ain't even have, but that's what real lyrics and music should do. It should make you miss somebody that was never even there in the first place. Mm-hmm. It should make you have beef with somebody, and that's bad, but have beef with somebody that's that it wasn't even nobody nobody hates you. You just, but the words, the lyrics got into your soul, you know. So yeah.
You plan to shoot some videos off of this?
I don't know. I've been doing like little content videos and stuff, like, and just kind of just throwing those out as testers. So I plan on doing more of those, but I don't know about like full videos yet. But I'm trying to do more so like radio, because I don't know. I'll talk to you about that off camera.
Okay, for sure. And like you said, you're doing all this independently too, man. Have labels started to reach out, because now they're probably seeing the vision and everything?
More so, a lot of distribution companies have been reaching out, and it's to the point where it's getting annoying. I'm getting a bunch of emails about trying to get me to come over there and bring my catalog over there, because now they're seeing the body of work that I'm doing. So it's not like just this one project. It's like they're seeing the whole body of work that I'm doing. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I've been distributing my music through Soul Spasm, and we got a good thing going. So it's like, I don't want to go to a label and have, the one album that I was going to take over there, we ended up getting screwed over. So me and Raheem, so it was one of those, this is why I don't want to go with a label, and they play games in your face and everything. So yeah, nah, strictly independent.
I mean, you got the blueprint already. It's like, what do you even need a label at this point?
Man, exactly. And that's what I tell a lot of major artists. I'm like, why do you keep trying to feel like you need to go to a label? Like, you got the fans. Mm-hmm. You can it's all this stuff that all the little services that the label use. You can do that on you can hire those same people and get a better price too.
Of course, yeah.
So it's like, so why do you feel like you need a label just to have this label look that I'm with such and such? Like, you can collect way more money doing it on your own than to try to go with this label that's gonna lock you in and then tell you when you can and can't drop. Don't make sense.
Yep.
So I love people like Currency, Lito, LaRussell, 40, just all those people Larry June, that's doing it independently and just controlling, calling their own shots and just doing it how they want to do it. Like, that's what I want to do. I saw something yesterday where it said like Currency got like 100 albums. I'm like, I want to get to 100 albums. Like 10 is great, but I'm like, I want to be saying 20 by this time next year. I want to get to 30, 40, 50. So yeah, that's the way to go right now.
How long do you wait before you start working on the next one?
I'm already working on
Okay.
2 right now. So what I do, because I don't put all my energy into one, like what I'll do is, so I'm not sitting here waiting for this artist to return the song. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, I'm working on a jazz album right now, and what we'll do is just, we already got 2 songs done, okay, and this album got 7 songs done, and this album is just maybe just the idea, and I might have ideas and stuff, and I'll just start plugging away, and then before you know it, I got 3 over here, 4 over here, and then it just starts filling up. I'm like, all right, this one's done. But it may not be, like, I already had another album done, but I knew I wanted to put my all into this one, so I was like, I'm gonna put out this one first, but at some point I'll have this one just locked and loaded whenever I want to do it. It's a jazz album, and I want to redo a lot of the stuff and just bring in a lot of more musicians, like drums, and redo my drums and stuff. I'm like, all right, but then I got the jazz album with Eric Darius, so it's like I try to do different genres as well, so I'm not keep attacking the same genre every single time. Like, I would love to do rap ones. I keep telling Paul Wall we need to do one, but maybe y'all can help me on that one, so we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of different genres, gospel, you just went #1 on Billboard twice with 2 different songs?
Yeah, almost back to back, like a couple weeks apart. I've had #1s before, but it was part of the album. But to have one as a single, that one was special. And On the Way with a Deal was just, I could have never even painted it that way. Like, I didn't know that it was gonna happen this way. And my son, that was the very first studio session that he was ever a part of. It was right after the Dove Awards in Nashville, and we all linked up since we were all in town together, and my son was there to see us record the song. So that was special for me, just right off the bat. And then to later on the song to come out and then come back around, and then Erica Campbell gets on the remix, which was like, this is a legend here. And then the song goes #1, and I'm like, what? And then it gets nominated for 5 Stellar Awards, and I'm like, I would have never thought any of this would have happened, because I don't do stuff thinking, oh, we're gonna get a bunch of accolades off of this, or this is going. I just work and just be like, I didn't even start looking up stuff that landed on billboards until a couple years ago. Like, I got a Starlito plaque several years, Mental Warfare. I got with Game Over on it. Mm-hmm. I got one from that years after it had dropped, because I didn't even think to look it up because I never cared about that stuff. And I still don't care about it, like I'm not aiming for it, but I didn't even think to look it up. So but yeah, having two back-to-back and in the same genre was just like, because I grew up in the church, so gospel was always a genre that I wanted to get into. I just didn't know how to get into it, and people was telling me, oh, it's a close-knit and you can't really get in, they got their relationships, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I find a way in and I get in with Pastor Mike, which he ends up changing my life as well, and get in with Pastor Mike Jr. and all this stuff just starts happening, and it's like, what? Like, I would have never guessed any of this would happen, and now there's people out there that only know me for gospel. There's people out there that only know me for K-pop stuff. I used to be called a K-pop producer for 3 years, and it used to bother me until one day I was like, I want everybody to see me differently, because there's some people that only know me for the R&B stuff. And there's people that only remember me from the blog era when I was doing a lot of, Dee Boi said the other day, he says, hey man, I'm about to start doing some more beats, man. You wanna collab with me on some stuff? I know you don't do rap no more. I never said I don't do rap no more. I said, bro, I do rap. I says, I do rap beats, I do them all the time. I says, but my focus ain't rap, because most of the rappers don't be paying. Lito does. Lito take care of you, but a lot of these rappers just be wanting to take and just go, and then they don't look out for you later on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I had to put my focus where it was being reciprocated. So it's not that I don't do rap, it's just like, if I want to survive and thrive in this world, I can't depend on rappers, unfortunately.
Yeah, like you said, you got to look out for yourself.
Yeah,
number one, man.
You got to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's some advice you would share to some producers trying to get their foot in the door right now?
Trying to get their foot in the door.
Or even take it to the next level if they have their foot in the door too.
I'll start with foot in the door.
Okay.
The people that you see now in this game, the people that you see now are going to be in totally different places 5-10 years from now. So don't look over these people that's next to you trying to get to the ones ahead of you. You need to network across. I tell a lot of people that network across, don't try to network up all the time. There's no point of you trying to reach out to Drake, 2 Chainz and all them and you need to network across from you, because that's the next 2 Chainz, that's the next Drake, that's the next whoever, or not even rappers, that's the next, big time CEO, that's the next, because they may start off in the A&R, being an assistant A&R, but now the next thing they're running the whole A&R department. Then they're the CEO. I've seen it, and I used to hear that when I was coming up, and I was just like, "You try to tell me that this dude could be?" And yep, that dude ends up being the next one. So it's like, show loyalty. The people that show love to you and like genuine love, make sure that you reciprocate it somehow, some way, and look out however you can. Even if they don't appreciate it, just try to do what you can to show love. Like, that's why it's funny. I forgot all about that whole the DGB and putting it together with 10 Toes Down. I forgot all about it until you said that. But that's just how I operate. And because, at the end of the day, it's just like, people remember how you looked out for them when no one else was looking out for them. And when things start happening in their career, guess what? They go back to you and be like, I'm in a different position now, and they may be ahead of you, and they be like, come on, I got you, I'm gonna open this door for you because you did this back, and what you did was minor compared to what they could do for you later on. Don't try to follow the crowd. I'm very big on that, and I don't know if I'm talking to producers or rappers. I could be talking to all of them. Like, I never chased the sound. I just did what I like to do. I just like to make the music that I want to make and go the route that makes me happy at the end of the day. Going the route that I'm going is not for everybody, and it's not what everybody wants to do, and it's not the glamorous route. But at the end of the day, it's just like, just do what makes you happy and just go that route. And then lastly, do not quit your day job until you start bringing in some consistent money. It's okay to have a job. It's okay to still be doing rapping or producing or videography or whatever it is and still have your job, because it helps fund everything that you got going on. I never forget Homeboy, he used to have a song with BG, and it was like, what your heart beating for, you scared? At the time, I thought that was one of the biggest songs because it was on 106 & Park, which I was like, you on 106 & Park, you made it. We went out to eat before the SCA Awards, and we're sitting down in IHOP, me, my cousin, him and his lady. And he said something to me that I never forgot. He was just like, most of the people in the music industry should have a job, or they do have a job. I don't care if they're on TV or not. And I'm like, what? Nah. But you don't got a job though, because you just don't want to sit apart. He says, I do got a job. I got a full-time job. And it was like, but I know people that should have a job, and then they walking around, they struggling, and all it takes is a job to get you some money, but they rather keep this facade of like, I'm doing it, I don't work, I work for myself. And I was just, but at the time, that was too much information for me to take in, because I'm still like, I don't believe this. And 22 years in now, I'm like, oh, I see what he's talking about. Oh yeah, I see what he's talking about. So it's just like, don't be afraid to just keep your job and be proud of that job. That job is gonna pay for everything that you got going on. Mm-hmm. Then you won't have the pressure of signing a bad contract because you want to make it so bad because they waving some dollars in front of your face. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole other conversation though. Yeah.
No, well said right there, man. KP, go ahead and plug your social media so everyone knows where to follow you at, man.
The Colleagues on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. Yeah, The Colleagues.
All right, for sure.
Wait, was I supposed to say something else?
No.
Okay.
Any shout outs you want to give before you wrap
Shout
up?
out to DGB, man. Shout out to my boy Blue Hayes. You still go by Blue Hayes?
Just Hayes.
Hayes? Okay, my bad. Drop the blue. Shout out to my boy Hayes, man. Like, we go back. That's what I'm talking about as far as like loyalty, man. Like, man, he's shown me love over the years, like, so much. I knew if I got on the DGB platform that all the other blogs was gonna pick it up. And I understood that, and he showed me love. Like, I'll be like, hey man, I got a new record with 2 Chainz. He's like, give it to me, I got you. Hey man, I got a new record with Lito, boom. Shout out to the Colleagues, boom, boom. Hey man, I got a new record with, I ain't gonna say his name. Remember, I ain't gonna say it, off camera. There was some rappers he wouldn't put on there, but I'm like, hey, it's all love though. But yeah, nah, shout out to y'all, man. Like, I love everything that y'all done, man. This place is amazing, man. So I'm just proud of y'all, man. I'm proud of you, bro. Thank you for having me.
For sure.
Lil Pip, skinny and flipper one time for my dogs. I just been grinding, that's all. Focus, refining my flaws. Now